Hello and welcome back to Balanced Psychologies. I hope that you're all doing really well. Thank you so much to my new subscribers. So this week's video is about why the narcissists frustrate you sexually. So why do they withhold sex from you? This video is particularly, I've basically told it from the male narcissist's kind of view. I haven't really included many examples from why a women narcissist would do this, but I guess that the points that I make in this video will very much mean the same thing whether it's a female or a male narcissist. Also, this video, or the content of this video, is taken from my first video, Narcissism and Sex, and this is just a continuation of that. I will link the video up above, so if you want to watch it, you can watch it later. But again, like I mentioned before, it's a kind of like a warning, because this is really multifaceted, and there is so much to this that it is really hard to try and get your head around it. So you have to kind of look at this with an open mind. This isn't normal, this isn't acceptable in any way, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to uncover why the narcissist will think that the way they do and why they elicit the certain behaviours that they do. It's bizarre. Okay, so let's get into the video. Thank you so much for joining me for watching this video. Okay, so why do narcissists frustrate you sexually? Okay, there isn't one answer, there's a few answers, but I'm going to basically tell you the long way around so that you can understand it and make your own meaning from this content, okay? So whilst I've been doing my research, I was thinking to myself, well, whilst being with a narcissist, they will withhold sex from you. So it doesn't matter whether you are young, whether you are young adult, in mid-age, or whether you are an older adult, they will withhold sex from you. And I think, like in most resources or most publications that I've read, it talks about it being a manipulation tool or a controlling tool or behaviour that they use on you. And yes it is, but there's so much more to it, because there's a thought pattern or a thought process that's going on behind that as well. So when we look at the term the narcissist, so many of you who are watching this video are with a narcissist or have been with one, or are simply interested in what narcissistic personality disorder means. Okay, so a narcissist typically is asexual, and they can stop themselves from wanting or having sex. Now, they are really good at controlling their emotions. They're really good at stopping themselves or purging themselves of certain thoughts and behaviours. So for us who aren't narcissistic, it would be quite a difficult thing, trying to stop yourself from fancying someone, loving someone, or wanting sex with someone, because that's quite an intense kind of need, isn't it? But a narcissist can do this. They are very skilled at being able to control their own behaviours and thought patterns. Remember, they've been doing this since childhood, so they are really good at being able to control this. So in terms of and I know that this is really hard to believe, that a narcissist would be asexual. Okay, they would prefer to use porn, to look at porn and to masturbate rather than having sex with you. And so you're thinking, oh my gosh, well, this is a bit weird, because they go and cheat, and at the beginning of our relationship the sex was great. But there's a cycle to all of this, and the narcissist will be at various stages in this cycle. Okay, so let's start at the point where the narcissist is not having sex with you, so they're withholding sex from you. You're becoming increasingly frustrated. You're getting increasing thoughts of thinking, well, why is he doing this? Why is this happening to me? Okay, they've made up some cock and bull story that they can't have sex with you because of health problems, because they're not feeling right, because they're too tired, or something that's going on at work. Narcissist is predominantly they are going through a period of abstinence. They don't want any contact, they don't want, you'll find that they will withdraw from you as well. So they will go into this kind of hibernation mode where they won't even go out socially, they won't interact socially, and they will just contact with you, the way that they speak to you will be very limited. You will not be able to make sense or get kind of long sentences out of them. So all of these irrational and chaotic thoughts that are going on within the narcissist, they just need time to kind of sit and think about it. And that's what they do. You'll find that all they do is just sometimes they will just sit and think. And this is that time. This is that time where they just really have no contact with anybody really. They're able to recall and rethink what's going on for them. And they're at their most weakest at this point. So sex will be the last thing on the narcissist's mind. Then will come a shift in their behaviors, in their thinking patterns. And what will happen is they will use porn as a way to masturbate. And they will self-satisfy that way. And at this point, what happens is, because there's a shift in their thinking pattern and their behavioral patterns, they are getting stronger. So they're going to need some narcissistic supply. They're going to need some... And remember, the narcissist harbors these kind of ambiguous feelings towards sex and commitment. So by being still a little bit weaker, they're not able to go out and find their supply. And then comes the next shift. So whilst they're getting stronger and stronger, they will then start to engage with you more, with their friends. They will go out to work. Perhaps some of them may suffer this kind of quiet period very intensely, that it disrupts their daily functioning, so they may not go to work. At this point, you will see a shift in their mood. They will start becoming a little bit nicer towards you, but still withholding sex. They will then start to reconnect with probably old supply, exes, or will go and hunt and look for new supply. But remember, they're still not back to themselves yet, but they will come out of this shell and try to look for supply. Because remember, narcissistic supply is building them, and they're getting stronger and stronger. So whilst they're restricting or withholding sex with you, they are going out to have sex with others. So this comes into play. Remember, I talked about as well the saints and sinners. So women are put into two categories: saints and sinners. The saints will typically consist of the spouse, or the fiance or the girlfriend, the mother, the sister, the daughter. Whereas the sinners will be the bit on the side, the whore, the person that they have sex with now and again, and the exes. Predominantly the exes, maybe not all of them, but probably the exes. Okay, so remember, the narcissist values sex as something, sees sex as something disgusting, degrading, and absolutely revolting. All right. Remember, they think this because of the own abuse that they have suffered. These individuals have been raped or have been abused in childhood sexually. So for them, sex isn't seen as something pleasurable, as something enjoyable. They see, we see sex as that, pleasurable and enjoyable, and it deepens your connection with someone, but also it's kind of like a commitment to one another, even if it is maybe for one night or 1 month or 1 year. There is some sort of a commitment towards one another. If you develop a connection or a bond with someone, remember, you need emotions to be able to do that. You need some sort of empathy to be able to do that. But the narcissist is not able to do that because they're not able to feel this to a deeper level, or to a level that is meaningful. So going back to what I said before, narcissists are misogynists. They dislike women, they hate women, they devalue women because they just have no respect for them whatsoever. Even if you are in the saints or the sinners box, the narcissist still hates women. They feel prejudiced against women, so therefore that's why the narcissist then harbors these ambiguous feelings towards sex and intimacy. Okay, so the narcissist will withhold sex for a dual purpose. Okay, so for the first reason why they withhold sex from you is all about narcissistic supply. So think about it this way. So when they're withholding sex from you, they're getting the attention from their primary source of supply, which is the prostitutes, the whores, the other person that they're seeing. They're getting this attention because what they're doing is, if they are engaging with some sort of communication with them, remember how it is when you're first beginning, when you're flirting and you're first beginning in a relationship. That's the kind of attention that they're getting, and they are craving that. Remember how exciting it is to go on the first date, or to go on a meetup, or you know, texting or phoning someone. It's exciting, right? So this is where they are. This is what is keeping them alive. So remember, they're getting stronger and stronger, okay, in this cycle. The other source of supply is when they are not talking to you, when they're not connecting with you, you become either two things, either really withdrawn and upset. So the narcissist will be really happy that they're doing this to you because they know that they're sadistically hurting you and upsetting you. Remember, you're feeling some sort of an emotion, and they know that they are affecting you, whether it's positive or negative, they are still affecting you. So they're still making you feel a certain way. So they're getting supply from that. But also, the other way that they're getting supply from you is if you're trying your hardest to kind of think, well, what have I done wrong? Why is this happening? Why are they not talking to me? Why are they ignoring me? You're going to go out of your way and be even nicer to them in order for you to get some sort of contact or connection with them, or some communication with them. So again, you're putting out more narcissistic supply. You're giving them more attention than normal, and they love this. And another thing that I did read up, which is really bizarre, the narcissist doesn't actually enjoy sex. Yes, they don't. The narcissist will actually prefer masturbation over sex. Now, there's a reason for this. If they have been abused or raped or sexually abused through childhood, then this traumatic experience will continuously be playing out in their minds. They will be consciously or consistently thinking this. Okay, so remember I talked about that time when they are going to be quiet, they're not going to be talking to anyone. This is most probably what is playing out in their mind. All right. So the reason why they don't like it, or they devalue people whilst they're having sex with them, or they see certain people in a certain way, whether a saint or a sinner. The sex part is they have had something done to them which they were too young to comprehend, to understand what was happening to them. They knew it was wrong. But when you are sexually abused as a child, sex then is seen as something disgusting, dirty and devaluing, because remember, whilst this was happening to them, they would have been humiliated and devalued by the perpetrator. So what happens is, whilst they're being sexually abused or raped, they will then disconnect. Remember, we talked about the objectification. They will see sex and they will see bodies and they will not have any kind of connection to that. They will see it as a separate part of them. So they will objectify sex. So what I mean by that, they will put no emotion into it. There will be no connection. Remember, we talk about the connection and commitment part so much in this. But the narcissist is not able to do that. So they don't view sex like we do. Now, this is actually a point that I really struggle with, okay? And I'm going to try and explain it the best way that I can. Okay, so the narcissist will want to keep their facade up, their kind of false sense of self in front of everybody around them. So for example, the narcissist, they're very clever in the way they do this. They will flirt and they will make sexual innuendos, but they will do it to a certain point. So when they're making these flirtatious advances, or these innuendos, or these jokes, remember, again, you're getting attention by doing this. And again, this is feeding into narcissistic supply. But they do it to a point where it doesn't offend and it doesn't cross that line. And they are very conscious of where that line is in a social situation, or at work, for example. And so they will, for example, a male narcissist will court that woman to a certain point where they do not cross. whereas the woman feels also very happy. They're also being subjected to this attention, so it's a kind of like to and froing that's going both ways. So the narcissist will put out that they are in a relationship, they are with somebody that they love very much. They will talk about their wife, their partner, their fiance, very much so. And this will happen with the female narcissist as well. They will talk about their husband, their fiance, their partner, to a certain point. And they make very bold statements that they would not do that, they will not cheat, they don't do things like that, that is against their moral values. And they really put this out so, like the other person or the other people would know that and think as well that what a decent person this narcissist is. But secretly what's going on is they're hating it. And what I mean is they're hating the fact that even though they're getting this attention from a big audience, they would love to have sex with some of these people who are giving them this attention. Remember, for them, attention is everything. That is their narcissistic supply. So once they get this, they are excited, they're exhilarated, and so they want more and more of it. So the next level is sex. But remember, they've just told everyone that they won't do this, they don't do cheating, they won't have extramarital affairs, they feel very strongly about this. And that's what's getting them the attention. So they're hating it because they want to do this. In most cases, what happens is there will be a victim, there will be someone who will cross that line, there will be someone who will go that one step further, because the narcissist will initiate it, and then the other person, the other party, will take it that one step further, because they're confident and bold enough to do that. Not everyone will, but there's a certain few that do, and so the narcissist will home in on them because they know. This will be done in secret. Nobody will know about this. They will want to hide and upkeep their facade as much as possible. Narcissists separate themselves from the act of sex. Okay, so what I mean by that, for them, they view sex as something that everybody does. It's something that's common, it's something that is devaluing, and they don't need to be involved in that. Their need for sex stems from for having narcissistic supply. But their want for sex is very minimal, so they don't actually want it. Remember, they view sex as something that is devaluing, disgusting, and embarrassing. They don't want it. That's how they see sex, because that was their first experience of having sex. So they're not going to see it as something positive. They never will. So they don't actually need it. So when they have this kind of view of what sex is, they separate themselves from that. Remember the objectification theory. They will separate their body and their emotions, and they will objectify the sex that they don't need it. So I hope some of these points or some of these kind of concepts that I've talked about have made sense to you. I mean, I found it a really difficult thing to kind of understand, this cycle of value and devalue, wanting sex, withholding sex, and then building up on their supply. It is when you look at it, when you think about it, as a child which is sexually abused, and their first experience of sex is, if you think about it, a rape, something that they didn't want, and a child who hasn't fully hasn't emotionally developed and understand what sexual acts are, then that's why they do this. This is why they have this disordered way of thinking, and along with the other abuse that comes with it in childhood, all of this kind of put into one, and this is the recipe of a narcissist. This is how they are formed. And sex for them is one of the most disordered and weirdest things that they could ever imagine or ever do, because it's something that at the time when it happened to them was very unnatural, and it happened way before they were ready for it to kind of even understand it on an emotional and psychological level. So therefore, as going into adulthood, the narcissist is not able to make sense and be able to distinguish this. And a big, massive part of this is the way that they objectify everything. They objectify their bodies. They will separate themselves from actually feeling and connecting with someone through sex. So this is why they don't actually like it. They don't need it. They don't want it. And this is why. The reason why they put you down or they devalue you is because this is something that happened to them when they were children. They were put down by their caregiver. So they are just mirroring and projecting all of their fears and all of their inadequacies on you. So it's not you, it is them, but it's not them, because this is their cycle of abuse and they're just reenacting it on you. You know, this is why they just reserve the sex for the people who they feel are degraded, who are nothing. And it is really hurtful. It is really hurtful, and I totally empathise with you. I mean, it's something that is really difficult to understand. But understanding these certain elements has even allowed me to kind of understand why they do think like this. And so I hope that this video and the content of this video has kind of given you some insight into why narcissists will withhold sex from you and frustrate you sexually. If you need further clarification, or if you want to know a little bit more about it, and maybe you want to talk about some of the points that I have raised in this video, please do email me and do let me know. Thank you so much for subscribing, and please share this video to anyone who you feel may be affected by narcissistic abuse and needs some further information. Please share this video. Also, please like this video if you have enjoyed the content, and keep subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later on this week with my next video coming out in the next few days. Thank you so much. Bye.